Welcome to a timeless world where wisdom is wrapped in whimsy and animals speak truths we sometimes forget. Today, we journey into the world of Aesop's Fables, short, captivating tales that have taught children and adults life's most important lessons for generations. Each story is simple yet powerful. So sit back, relax, and listen closely, because buried within each fable is a truth we all need to remember. Our first story begins high atop a tree, where a proud crow guards a prized piece of cheese, unaware that a cunning fox has other plans. A crow who had stolen a piece of cheese was flying to the top of a tall tree to enjoy her prize, when a fox spotted her. "If I am clever and handle this right," the fox thought, "I will have that nice piece of cheese for my supper." So he sat himself under the tree and began to speak to the crow in the politest way he could. "How well you are looking today, Mistress Crow," the fox began. "Your wings are so shiny and black. Indeed, you look most noble sitting there like that. I only wish I could hear you sing, for I have never heard your voice, though I'm sure it is as beautiful as the rest of you." The vain crow was so delighted to hear such flattery that she flapped her wings and bobbed her head up and down. She was especially thrilled that the fox called her voice beautiful, for she had often been told that her caw sounded rather raspy. Thinking to impress the fox with her wonderful voice, she opened her beak wide. "Caw, caw," she sang, and down fell the piece of cheese, right into the fox's open jaws. As he walked away licking his lips, he called up to the crow, "Remember that flatterers are never to be trusted, and that lesson is well worth the loss of your cheese." And so the poor crow learned that flatterers are never to be trusted.
Next, we find a diligent ant and a carefree grasshopper. Two characters with two very different views on preparation. One cold and windy autumn day, an ant was busily storing away the wheat and barley she had gathered over the summer to feed herself during the long, hard winter. As she was working, a grasshopper came limping by, half dead from hunger and shaking with cold. "Oh, please, good ant," the grasshopper cried when he saw her. "Please give me a little of your wheat and barley to keep me from starving." The ant looked the grasshopper over. "What were you doing all summer long while I was busy gathering grain?" she asked him. "Oh," the grasshopper replied, "I was not being lazy. I sang and chirped all day long." "Well, my good friend," the ant said sternly as she locked her storeroom door, "since you sang all summer, you can surely dance all winter." And so the grasshopper learned the bitter lesson that one must always prepare today for the needs of tomorrow.
We return to our clever fox, but this time his hunger turns to frustration in a vineyard he cannot conquer. One day, a fox was walking along, feeling very hungry and thirsty. At last, he came upon a sunny vineyard. "Ah," he thought, "some nice juicy grapes would be just the thing for me." Although there were many tempting bunches of grapes hanging from the vines, they were all too high for him to reach. He jumped as high as he could, snapping at the nearest bunches, but he missed them. He tried again and again, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not reach even a single delicious grape. At last, angry and worn out, he skulked away, muttering to himself, "I never wanted those grapes anyway. I'm sure they're sour and most unpleasant tasting. Why, I wouldn't eat them even if they were given to me." Now, by this simple story of the fox and the grapes, we may observe that animals and people too find it easy to scorn what they cannot have.
And finally, we witness one of the most iconic races in fable history, a speedy hare versus a humble tortoise. There was once a hare who was always making fun of a certain tortoise because he was so slow. Whenever the tortoise was out walking, the hare would spring up ahead of him. "Hurry up, you slowpoke," he would shout, or Are you sure you're really moving? Maybe you're not going anywhere and don't even know it. Then the hare would laugh and laugh. The poor tortoise tried not to pay attention to him, but finally, one day he'd had enough. Before he knew what he was doing, he had challenged the hare to a race. The hare thought this was the funniest thing he had ever heard. "You," he said, then laughed so hard he almost fell over. "You must be joking. I'll run circles around you." "Never mind your boasting," the tortoise replied. "Let's just get on with the race." All the animals of the forest set the course. The fox was chosen to be the judge because of his sharp eyesight, and at his bark, the race began. Almost before you could say, "Let's go," the hare sprang down the path and disappeared from sight. Meanwhile, the tortoise inched along at his usual plodding pace.
After a time, the hare grew tired. "I'll just stop here and wait for the tortoise to show up," he said to himself, flopping down on the grass. He waited a long time. At last, he began to get sleepy.
"Perhaps I'll just take a quick nap," he thought. "Then I can finish the race late in the afternoon when it gets cooler." So he closed his eyes, and soon he was fast asleep. Meanwhile, the tortoise kept plodding along. He passed the hare lying asleep in the soft grass, and on he went until he was only a few feet from the finish line. Just then, the hare woke with a start, but it was too late to save the race. By the time he arrived at the finish line, the other animals were already gathered around the winner, the slow tortoise, who had gotten there first. And so, from the story of the tortoise and the hare, we can learn that the one who is slow and steady wins in the end.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through Aesop's wisdom. These fables may be short, but their lessons are eternal. If you enjoyed these stories, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be bringing more tales to life, reminding you that sometimes the oldest truths are the ones we need the most. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember the lessons whispered in every fable.